So why don't we welcome Leah and Juan Carlos. Come on up here. Okay, so Juan Carlos' story. Juan Carlos was actually born in Argentina. So we're very lucky to have him because it's really in his blood, and he will be able to show that. Some of you have danced with him already today, so you probably were able to feel that already and experience that. He came to the U.S. a while ago.
Wow.
A long time ago, quite a few decades ago, actually, in 1964. And his father, interestingly enough, was born in Kiev and moved to Argentina in 1928, right around the whole Stalin era, when that was beginning. Anyway, Juan Carlos actually being here almost, at least 4 decades, got into tango 10 years ago, okay? And Juan Carlos said to me, tango was always in me. I grew up with that music, and when I was a kid, my mother had it on all day long. So it was really in him from a very, very young age. When I came to the U.S., I was nostalgic, he says, homesick. And the music pulled me through all those times. And that's really the power, oftentimes, of the arts and the dance and the music and things that we grow up with to really get us through a lot of things that we deal with on an everyday basis. And I think we can all relate to that. One day, he says, I found a flyer for a Milonga in Culver City.
Right.
Okay. And that's how you started. And your first teachers were Armando and Daniela. And I found a DVD I had of them today.
Really?
Yes. I'm not going to play it today because I found something else. But I was watching it today. Very interesting. So anyway, I asked Juan Carlos what tango means to him. Okay? And he says, tango is part of my life. It's something you live. It creates a lot of emotions. The atmosphere is very important. I'm able to work through my emotions through the tango, which is very, very important. And most of us actually do that. That is one of the most amazing benefits of doing something like this. And you forget everything when you dance. You forget about your day, you know, if you had rough moments, if you had any arguments, if the stresses on your mind, the bills, different things. You just, right? You live in the moment. You just get into the moment. And that's what we're trying to create here, at least so you start to feel that and then get into that and to absorb a little bit of that so you can bring more and more of that into your life. I think that's all I want to say. Juan Carlos says, I have a lot of love for tango. That's probably the bottom line. Do you want to add anything?
Very much. No, that's part of my life.
Yes.
Tango lives in me 24 hours a day.
You see? Let's move on to Leah.
Please.
Would you agree? Okay, so Leah. Leah has quite an interesting story as well, and I really enjoyed talking to her. Leah says, I danced many different forms of dance, and she's been into the theater. She's a trained actress, I believe. Yes? My first exposure to tango was in 1984 in San Francisco, which is right around the time when Forever Tango came out. And
it would have been 94, actually.
Oh, 94. Is that when Forever Tango came out? I thought it was earlier. Maybe.
The touring show
here
in the U.S.?
Yeah. 94, okay. So 94, not that long ago. And actually, Forever Tango is really our first exposure here in the U.S. on a big scale, on a very popular scale, to the Argentine tango, as many of you know. It became a big Broadway hit. But it's interesting because Leah says it's not something I connected to where that I thought that I could do at that time because it was a very flashy Broadway-like staged production, right?
People with legs that went up to here.
Okay. We're going to see a little bit of that today.
No.
Why not?
You didn't tell me about that. No legs up to here.
He doesn't have to.
Oh, okay.
He's the leader, it's okay. No.
Stretch.
There's always an agreement between the partners, and that's really the magic of it. So it's a silent agreement, nonverbal, but there's always a feeling of connection, and that's part of the agreement. 5 to 6 years ago, Leah says she started to see the rise in Argentine tango in many different exhibitions at ballroom Latin dance competitions because she used to do ballroom Latin dance and compete. So she would start to see this at the exhibitions at those different places. And then she was asked to do a demo, like a little demonstration, a video reel, for a fundraiser for a baseball
Actually,
person.
it was a fundraiser at this baseball player's multi-million-dollar house.
Okay.
And he's trying to raise some money. And one of their things they were going to do is auction off lesson with the gentleman I was
An
dancing.
expensive private Argentine
A
tango
very
lesson.
expensive private lesson, yes.
Okay, so you had to learn how to do it real fast.
A couple weeks.
Couple of weeks, and you did it.
More or less, yeah.
Will we ever get to see the demo?
Absolutely not. It has been burned.
Okay. Anyway, can I tell you a little story about Arizona and why you
Oh.
moved? Okay. It's a very little story, actually, but it also connects with my inspiration for today's theme, so I wanted to actually use that. Last year, Leah was laid off. It was last year, I believe, yes. She moved here, actually, from Arizona. And because of this, she went on the first vacation of her life.
Oh,
So you can see how sometimes something seemingly not so good can turn into, already on the first level, something very interesting and open maybe another doorway in our life. One closes, another word opens. So anyway, we know that Leah is now here in LA. She's relocated and you're working here. That's to make a long story short. But basically, she went on the first vacation of her life, and where did she go to? She went to Buenos Aires, Argentina.
good.
Now she had some not so great experiences there, new place, adjustments, different things happen to different people. But in the last few weeks of her stay, which she extended, she had some incredible experiences there. And one of them was dancing with a private teacher, because oftentimes when many of us go to Buenos Aires, we take private lessons and group lessons. And Leah happened to take some private lessons with a gentleman who kept repeating to her, he kept repeating, "Hold me. Hold me." And he just kept repeating those two words, she tells me. Just kept repeating it.
Hold.
Yes.
Hold me.
And eventually, because it's not hold me, hold me,
Avoid.
hold me,
Yeah.
держите меня.
Embrace.
Yes, eventually, because it's not just about the words, Leah started to really feel what he was talking about. And what he was saying, and you can elaborate on this, was really embrace me. Take me into yourself. Let me give myself to you, and then we can have an exchange in return. And it's really just about the dance, nothing else. That's part of the beauty of the connection of the dance, where we don't even experience that oftentimes in our everyday lives, even with our spouses, or with our children, or with our parents. And he was really trying to communicate that to her, just because he knew, or he felt obviously, that that's what you needed, that you needed to really open yourself to yourself.
Sometimes in our day-to-day world, we are next to people, we talk to people, but we don't really connect to them. And even in dancing, especially if you've taught, you can go into an automatic mode where you're just stepping,
That's right.
But if you actually grab hold of someone and you hold them and you will them to feel what you feel, all of a sudden they relax and they breathe in with you, And that's when you feel like you can move together and breathe together, and that's when you're dancing together, not
There you go.
stepping
There you
and
go.
walking and doing stuff.
Absolutely. You're with someone in the moment, which means you're actually alive to yourself in that moment. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Becomes one body very much.
That's right. We oftentimes hear in tango, one body, four legs. You want to aim for that. One body, four legs. In your case, you could just do one body, two legs for now. Just feel a little bit more of the rhythm of the
Or the
music.
expression is 4 legs, 1 heart.
That's right. That's good. That works too. So, the more you open your heart, Leah says, the more vulnerable you allow yourself to be, okay? The more rewarding it is, the more you receive in return. So, we are very happy to have Leah and Juan Carlos with us today, and you actually inspired a little bit more of what we're going to talk about. Thank you very much. And have a seat. Okay. So, what do we want to say to elaborate on that a little bit? Do you have anything to add? I know you always have something to add. Tell us.
She said everything actually.
Yes.
Connection, being, like feeling, one body. It's about giving and receiving.
Yes.
It's not about leading, follow. Just really giving and receiving.
That's
You
right.
give and you receive. And you receive when we dance.
Yes.
You receive it. Really.
Absolutely.